Hello everyone, my name is Troy. Welcome back to my channel. It's actually crazy because yesterday I finally got out of school. I'm officially on my summer break, and what better way to celebrate than doing a 2021 favorites video where I go over some of the favorite books that I've read this year. I have 6 so far that I just think really stand out to me, and I want to kind of share them with you in the form of book recommendations, and I think this is going to be a really fun video, so I hope you enjoy. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe down below, and let's just get straight into it. But the first book that I want to talk about is called Cemetery Boys by Adrian Thomas. Why do I keep saying Adrian Thomas? I don't know. That's beyond me. And this was actually the first book that I read this year, and it really set me on the right path. Like a few months after, kind of reflecting back on it, I thought the book was so poetic and so interesting and so fun to read, so I definitely recommend it now, much more than I recommended it when I read that. Does that make any sense? Do you know when you you read a book and you're kind of iffy about it, but then later, a few months later, a few weeks later, you're like, wait, that was actually so lyrical and such a great, literary perfection. I always say that when I talk about books. It's a literary perfection. But basically this book takes place with this boy named Yadriel. He's openly transgender, but his family doesn't openly accept him. There's a few members of his family that kind of are just, transphobic towards him, and so there's definitely that kind of trigger warning if you want to go into this book. He tries to summon, I don't know, he's trying to do the ceremony to prove that he's a brujo, but he accidentally ends up summoning this ghost, and we kind of go on this mystery, who killed this boy and turned him into a ghost. And then there's also kind of this person in his family who is kind of suspected of killing one of their family members, and so it's just this interesting kind of ghost story kind of mixed with the romance. The only thing bad about this book, I will say, is that the romance felt a little bit too magical and a little bit too perfect for me, but honestly it was so cute that I don't even mind it. It just melted my heart. The romance was so great, and I really liked the plot. Thinking back on it, it was actually really just a fun book. The plot was so expertly crafted. I really like Adrian Thomas's books. I'm going to lose my mind. I think that we need some sort of sequel here, come on, we need one. And now, next up, we have got The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by, who is this author? Oh my god, blah, blah, blah. V.E. Schwab, Victoria Schwab, and it was amazing. It was, this book was so poetic and so lyrical. The concept to the execution, to the historical context, to the characters, it just all felt so very rich. And this book is about this girl named Addie LaRue. She's living in 1690 or early 1700s, late 1600s. She's born then, and she feels like she's just kind of not in control of her life. She feels like she's just going through the stages of life very quickly, and she's not really getting any real choice. So she sells her soul to this devil basically, and she extends her life. She's able to kind of give up something to basically, live longer and have all these journeys that she wants to, but what she doesn't know is that she's giving up her impact on the world. She can go up to someone and she can have a conversation with them, but the minute she leaves, the whole conversation and the girl is erased from their minds, and so she can't really have a lasting impact on anyone. She can't have any friends because they'll just forget her. She can't have any relationships or lovers because they'll just forget her, and so it's been really plaguing her, and all she's been able to do is just have one night stands where she's involved with someone for a day, but then they just forget her. There's another deal in the works with another character named Henry, and they're able to kind of get together, and it's just amazing to see kind of that romance go through, because it was just such an amazing story to see how these two characters that both had different deals were able to find each other when they were both very lost. And so I just really enjoyed this book, and I think that despite it being a very chill, laid back book, it was also very emotional, and also a lot of plot twists happened, and I just thought it was so amazing. I would definitely read again, and I would recommend it. Let's also not forget that Addie LaRue is our fave by icon, so love that for us. 10 out of 10 for anyone that is looking for just a emotional, sad book, because got me in my feels. Now, next up, I want to talk about Legend by Mary Lou, and this was a story, I vividly remember everything, and wow, like I feel like so impressed by it. Like it's just one of those like dystopian kind of futuristic books that I just so obsessed with. We're set with these two characters. One is named Day and then one is named June. June is like this prestigious like academy. She's like the top of her class. She's like this military academy student, and she's like just rocking it. And she is chased down to hunt Day after he kills Matthias, which is June's brother. So, and June doesn't have any parents, so Matthias was always caring for her, looking after her. So when Matthias dies, June has this personal grudge against Day because she thinks that he did it, and so she's chasing after him. But Day has a different story because he knows that he just threw a knife at Matthias and it was to his shoulder. How could he have been killed by just like a minor injury, a knife to the shoulder? And so he's kind of like wary about this, but he's also trying to like investigate about his parents, because their parents' house have like a red mark on their door, and that signifies that they have the plague. So he's trying to save them, also save the world, also kind of inspire revolution, while we have June hunting them down. But when the two meet accidentally, they kind of start falling for each other, and they also figure out more about this world that kind of makes them have to team up and kind of go against the government. And so this series is so freaking cool. I definitely recommend it if you have the chance or have the time to read it, because it's like one of those worlds that you're just obsessed with and you really want to see kind of like more and more and more. And that's how I felt the whole way through the series. Like it's just so, Mary Lou is so articulate about like her world. Not me not knowing how to talk. Don't fight me in the comments, please. Amazing. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend. Next up, we've got Space Case by Stuart Gibbs, and wow, this was another good one. I've read a lot of books by Stuart Gibbs, but I was not expecting this Space Case book to be as good as it was, and the whole series was actually really magnificent. It was just so lighthearted, and I was able to read each book in literally one day. Like one day I read each single book, and so it only took me 3 days to read the whole series because I was binging it. It was so freaking good. It's basically about this like moon-based alpha, all these like kind of young kids and adults who are kind of trained in like space stuff. They were sent up to space, and they're on this moon-based alpha basically, and they're seeing if they can live on the moon, and if that planet can kind of like habit life in the future. Habitat life, I can't. That definitely made a lot of sense. But yeah, they're just kind of in space, they're stuck in space, and the kind of thing about the characters is that they don't really like being up there. They thought it would be much more enjoyable. Like it's not really as fun as they think it is, because it's just like they're stuck in this aircraft. They have to like eat not refrigerated, but like dehydrated food, and they have to like, you know, dispose of their waste in odd ways, and it's just not as fun, especially for the kids. It's probably more exciting for the, you know, all the adults that are on this ship, but for the kids it's really, you know, just kind of tough on them. And it all of a sudden starts getting exciting when there is this murder, and we're set with this character named Dashel, and I think, yeah, Dash, sorry, I always forget things about books. And he is in the bathroom one night, and Dr. Holtz, which is like the main guy, the main operator of this mission, is on the phone talking to someone, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have this crazy discovery, I'm gonna announce it at 8 o'clock or whatever tomorrow morning. But we find out in the morning that Dr. Holtz left the airship and never came back, and we can see in the security cameras that he took off his suit and boom, he died because of all like the air and, you know, space. And so we're like, why did he die right before he wanted to make this special announcement? And so there's this kind of like murder case, and like everyone's telling Dash not to investigate and that there's no murder happening. But the more Dash kind of investigates, like the more that we kind of realized that this was a murder and that we need to figure out who it was. And I thought this case was so interesting to explore, and then there's like this really cool plot twist at the end that like just changes the whole series for me. And then the next 2 books were so good. I definitely recommend this series so much. Like, go pick it up now, please. Thank you. Next up, and I never thought I would say this or have this on my favorites, we've got The Selection by Kiera Cass. Never thought I would enjoy a book about like 35 girls like being in a palace and trying to get the love of one boy, but like it was actually pretty interesting because of like the dystopian setting and kind of like the world. Like I wasn't really too much interested in the romance, although I feel like it was solid. I just feel like the caste system was so interesting because in this world everyone is ranked they have like this number, they have this cast that they're in, and they're very limited as to what they can do in each cast. So, you know, 1 is the royal family, 2 are these also really wealthy people. We're set with the 5, like kind of like right in the middle, but also kind of below the average, and 5s can only work in the entertainment industry, and so they're kind of limited as to what they can do in art, and they have to kind of choose a career like that. But it's also like the lower you go down, it's like the more like kind of labor you're doing, or like the more you're really having to do to support the kind of whole kingdom. And I just think it's really interesting because it's like a futuristic world, and I feel like Kiera Cass did do an okay job, although it was a bit confusing. She created like a history behind the future of, you know, America. The main character is named America because that's what the old, you know, country was named, our country right now. And she kind of sets up this like kind of evil dictator that kind of, you know, did some stuff, and then there's this World War IV, and so it was just kind of interesting to explore the world. The romance was okay. I didn't really like the love triangle because I don't think anyone ever liked one of the characters in the love triangle, and so it was kind of obvious as to which character would win. But I feel like some of the characters, like just some of like the minor characters, I feel like were just really interesting, and I feel like I read the whole series in just a sweep because I think it was just well done. There was definitely a lot of like slow parts, and like there wasn't much action, and some of it felt repetitive, but like definitely overall I feel like I enjoyed it, and I feel like Kiera Cass is a pretty good author. I would just like to see more LGBTQ characters because we didn't see any for the first 3, but then we started to see some for the the 4th and the 5th. So yeah, that's my opinion. And then last up we have got, I think this is my, wait, do I have not owned any of these? Oh, this is the only physical book, but we've got Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. When I read this, I was just kind of like really enthralled. I don't know, I feel like some people kind of hate on this book, but like it was much better than the Six of Crows books in my opinion, and I definitely do recommend this. And if you don't want to read the books, of course you can watch the show and get all of the information from there, but it's also really cool to see where the story originated from, and that's why I really wanted to read it. I ordered these books like last year, and I finally got to read it this year. But you know, this book is about Alina. She's like this cartographer, but then she discovers as she's crossing this fold, which is this like dark kind of place that she has to cross, like to get from West Ravnica to East Ravnica or vice versa. She discovers that she has these like powers that like are illuminating. She blows up all the Volcra and she lights up the dark kind of shadow fold, that's what they call it. And it's just really interesting to explore how her like powers affected her relationship with her childhood friend Mal, which the trope is childhood friend to lovers, so it's like she has to get separated from Mal, go to the Little Palace with the Darkling to train in her powers, and Mal is kind of, you know, doing everything in his power to get back to Alina. And so it's just a really interesting story. That's a very bare minimum like synopsis, but like it's really cool. I like the exploration of the magic system. The magic system was pretty cool, I feel like, in my opinion. There was some slow parts, of course, but definitely I feel like as we learn more about Alina and her character and her powers, it was really interesting. So yeah, that's my opinion. This was probably the least favorite of my favorites, but like I think it still does deserve a point on my list because I really enjoyed the books and the shows. It was just one of my favorite like worlds to be in this year. But that wraps up, but that wraps up my video today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you all are doing well, like I said earlier. But thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. That always helps me out, and I am definitely reading some books this month that I feel like could be on my new favorites list, so I might do one in like 2 or 3 months with some updated favorites. But make sure to subscribe down below for more content from me. That would really help me out. And comment down below, what are your favorite books that you read this year? I would love to know and love to respond to like some of you, because there's a lot of you now. We're almost 2,000 strong, so join the Troy army. And I think that's it. I will see you guys on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!